And the day of the interview, please go light. The interview was very, very straightforward. You have to go through a lot of stages though, so be ready to stand. We stood for that almost 3 hours. We're standing. So I was very, very nervous because my Nigerian passport was expiring. They didn't even ask where I was working or what I was doing for a living. Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Funke Lemo. I am a Nigerian immigrant in Canada and I post videos about my life in Canada. In today's video, okay, before we get to that, if you're new here, please do not forget to subscribe. And if you're my subscriber, you're welcome back. It's good to have you again. Please guys, I always love it when I see your comments, when I see your likes and your shares also. Please do not forget to do that. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I got my US visa. When I came to Canada and I watched videos on how to apply for US visa, the process is the same, but the documentation needed is now different. I know in Nigeria, if you apply for a US visa, I have never applied for US visa before. This is my first time ever. But in Nigeria, I know someone that has applied for US visa. And if you get a very far date, you are able to buy date. I don't know how they do it, but you are able to buy dates and get an earlier date for a lot of money. But here you cannot buy date. And if you check now, if you're trying to apply for visa, you see that the date you're likely to get is far, far, far away. Let me give you guys a little story. When I came to Canada 2022 and I applied for US visa, the date I got is was in February 2024. Just imagine from 2022 up until February 2024. Could I have gotten an earlier date? Maybe. But as at when I applied, that was the date that was firstly available. There was no date for interview for 2023 at all where I wanted to do my interview, which is in Ottawa. Because take note that there are other places that you could do your interview in Canada. There are several places you could decide to do your interview. But in Ottawa, for me, there was no available date in 2023 at all, and the next available one was in February 2024. So I had to pick that date, and then before picking that date, of course, you have to go to the website, click the kind of visa you want, the B1, B2 visiting visa, and usually they will give you a 10 years visa approval. Fill in your own details. If you're applying for somebody, also like me, I applied and also applied for my husband. Fill in all of the details and make sure that you are true to whatever you're filling in. Make sure you are true to it, and you have to pay an amount for the DS-160 form. You pay that amount, then they would send you email on the form you filled, what you should print out, and all of that. You also need to upload a passport photograph. They will give you the specification of what you should upload. All right. So after doing that, and you have your date. So the reason why I said you might get an earlier date even after picking that date is some people get to cancel their appointment, and when they do that, that's if you're monitoring the website. You have to be monitoring like every morning to see if there is an earlier slot available. If you're monitoring the website, you might see a date that will just open, or maybe somebody had just cancelled and there is an earlier slot. That is when you can now get an earlier date. Please take note, there is no buying and selling of dates in Canada. There is no buying and selling of dates. You cannot get any agent to give you an earlier date. There will be nobody to do that for you here. Before your application is even completed, you must have filled all the form, put any and every little details. I'll show you what the website looks like just by me here so that you can see what I'm talking about. You fill all the forms, put all your information, and be honest. Like, make sure everything you're putting there is the truth and nothing but the truth, because any little sign or any little mistake or any little thing that looks like it's not true, you might not be given the visa. You will not even be given the visa. I don't know people that have applied for permanent resident and gotten denied for US visa, but this is my first time applying as a permanent resident, and it got approved. When the day is approaching, you keep getting emails to remind you of your interview. Imagine me from 2022 and my interview is 2024, but I'm really glad I did it because even after getting the visa, we could decide to now go into the United States, to visit my family. But you know that as a permanent resident, after 3 years of filing your tax as a permanent resident, you are eligible to apply for citizenship. And once you apply for citizenship, you have your Canadian passport, and whoa, that's like ticket to the whole wild world. And you can go to the United States without a visa. But for me, we still had our green passport and Nigerian passport and wanted to go to the United States, which was this year. We actually wanted to go last year, but we didn't get an earlier spot and we just let it go. Instead, it was my family that came. My uncle decided to come to Canada instead. It's because we couldn't come. All right. So after the application is all done, like I said, let me go back to my story. You'll be getting emails of notification on, you know, when your interview is, the details on the interview. The day of the interview, please go light because you would not be allowed. There's actually no place to park your car around that area, and you have to pay for parking. So go light if possible and go with all your detailed information. Go with your passport, of course, everything that identifies you, just go with it. There's going to be a list of things that they would ask you to bring. You have to come with two passport photograph, the US visa standard. So if you go to any photo shop and you tell them you need a passport for US embassy, they would know how to size it up for you. But you could ask for but you need hard copy, two hard copies. Then you also need your DS-160 form, the application form, the appointment form. Yeah, of course, your passport. I don't know if I'm missing any other thing. If I'm missing anything, I'll put it up so you see it. So you have to come with all of that. Then try to get to the interview. In fact, they will tell you on your appointment slip that you should get to the interview venue 30 minutes before your time. That's because they attend to people first, as on first come basis, not strictly your time. The time of our interview was for 9 a.m. and we got there, I think, 8:30, and there was already a whole line of people waiting outside, like a very, very long line. And you cannot say because your interview is 9 o'clock, you get to the front of the line. And no, you have to go and join the line. So try and get there earlier enough because they attend to people on first come, first. Even if they give you a time on your appointment, you just still attend to you first come, first serve. So get there on time and move light. Just they will not allow you to go in with any gadget. There is a place where you could lock up all the things that you want to go in with, and they have to be switched off. Of course, the security is so tight at the US embassy. It's so tight, so tight. Like you have to remove even down to your wristwatch, down to anything that is metallic or anything. You have to remove all of them. So, and this process applies to even if you're a student. You can apply for US visa even if as a student because when I went for the interview that they are several that were just students and they got their visa approved. It's not like I was hearing their conversation. It's going to be like you are all in cubicles and you will see people's faces now and you know that they are coming out with smiles, know that their visa is approved. So, guys, like I was saying, so you just go in there, then do the interview. The interview was very, very straightforward. You have to go through a lot of stages though, so be ready to stand. We stood for that almost 3 hours. We're standing, moving from one place to the other. There were places to sit, but it was reserved for those with babies, those with children, and the oldies, the seniors rather. They call them seniors in Canada. Seniors are the elderlies. They would ask you questions. So I was very, very nervous because my Nigerian passport was expiring in like 4 months, and they will tell you that there are some countries that your passport must have at least 6 months before the expiry date before you come for that interview. But given that I have already applied for the interview since 2022 and I thought I would get a date for 2023, I could not help it. But I said when I went for for the interview, I had already applied for a renewal of my Nigerian passport. So then I would thought it was going to be an issue, but I was just there quietly. So because we applied as two, so me and my husband were there together and they asked us questions. What are you going to do in the United States? What are you going to see? Where are you going? That's what they asked too. And I see you have a Canadian. You have a baby that's a Canadian. And that's it too. And they said, okay, your visa is approved. That's all. They didn't ask us anything more than that. They didn't even ask where I was working or what I was doing for a living. They didn't ask me any of that. That when we got to the position of the person that was to approve, because you pass through a place, security, they'll check everything with you. Next stage, they'll check all your documents. Next one, they'll collect your passport, check your passport, do verify all the information before they pass you to the last person that will let you know whether your visa will be approved or not. All they asked was, "Where are you going?" And we said, "Oh, we're going to Maryland." And the lady said, "Oh, I have a soft spot for Maryland. Yeah, 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 yeah. Who are you going to see?" "Okay, I'm going to see my uncle." Blah, 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 blah. That was it, though. Your visa has been approved. And that was it. It was no biggie at all, at all. And we left, and that was all. They sent it to our address. So they'll send it to you like in I think 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks. They'll send it to you and you receive your visa. If it's an immediate thing, I don't know how that works, but I know they are express. There are ones. There are some that they do express. Like if you want to get your, I don't know if there's express with visa, but I know there's express for passport. All right, so that's it. It was so straightforward and easy, guys. So that's it for US visa and how I got my US visa in how long. But you shall get it, and it wasn't a big deal at all. So don't be nervous. Just go with all the documents you need to go with because that one can be a mess if you don't go with all the things that you need to go with. So just go with that. So that's how I got my US visa, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope it was informative for you. So calm down, go for the visa appointment, apply for the visa, pick a date, then go for it. The date might be far. So if you are coming to Canada soon as permanent resident, just know that within the next 3 months, let me plan to apply for US visa because I know that my date can be in like 1 year time. So that you just have that done, like covered ahead. So guys, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section. How was your own visa appointment? Or are you thinking of applying or you're waiting to get your Canadian citizenship or your Canadian passport? If you're a student, you know it take a longer time because of course you're a student, you're not a PR. You want to apply for visa so you can travel to the United States if it's something that you desire. It was something I desire, so that was why I did it. Thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Bye.